What's up? Welcome back to the channel, Detroit Poker. In this video, we're going to be talking about something that can potentially save you a lot of money and improve your win rate. And it's really easy to do. Everybody that is inexperienced is doing this. Pretty much everybody. Anyways, we're going to go over hand history from small blind, 1-2 no limit hold'em. And I think this is going to illustrate the point very well. Just in case you don't know me, my name is Brian. I am a poker player, an author, and a small stakes poker coach. Let's just jump into this hand history and talk about what we're going to talk about. So this hand, I chose this from one of my first students, and I think it's going to illustrate a lot. We're going to go over a couple scenarios of this very hand, and I want you to kind of put your thinking cap on and just think about what you would do in these various decision points. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from you. So that being said, we are in the small blind playing 1-2 no limit hold'em. We have approximately $200 and we get dealt king 2 of spades. By the time the action reaches us, there is 4 limpers into the pot. What would you do in this very scenario with this particular hand? Would you call the extra dollar, see a flop? Would you raise or would you fold? So think about that. Put a comment down below if you'd like. This particular time, Hero chose to make the call, kick in the extra dollar, and big blind checks. So we go 6 ways to the flop, and the flop comes queen, 7, queen with 2 hearts and a club. So we flop absolutely nothing, and we're first in line to check, bet, or fold. What is your decision? So I think most of you would check here, as would I if I was in this spot. So the action checks around, and the turn comes a 4 of hearts. Here we are, first to act. What is your decision? Check, bet, or fold? 5 players behind us. I think most of us would check again. There's no reason to really attack this pot. We have the worst position possible, and we have nothing. So we check again, and somebody in late position makes a bet, and we decide to fold. Okay? So this is probably the best case scenario for this particular hand. We put in the extra dollar, we make absolutely nothing after the flop, and we get away unscathed. However, let's rewind it and show you what making a decision like this can lead to in the future. Another scenario, if you will. Small blind, $200, king 2 of spades, 4 limpers. We kick in the extra dollar, and big blind checks. Flop 6 ways, comes out king, 7, 3, rainbow. What is your decision here? We flopped a pair of kings, but we have a pretty bad kicker. 6 players in this hand. It is our action first. Would you check, bet, or muck? I think folding is probably out of the question. And furthermore, I think most 1-2 players would probably like to check here, but some people would bet. That's a whole nother school of thought and a whole nother discussion. But let's just say, for argument's sake, we decide to check. The action checks all the way to the guy on the button, and he places a bet for $10. The action is on us again. What is your decision? Call, raise, or fold, and why? So you can refer to this as scenario number 2 in the comments. If you want to make a comment, this is scenario number 2 where we flop a pair of kings. Just based on my experience in watching players at 1-2 tables play hands like this, I think pretty common to check call here. So Hero decides to call. And we pick up 2 other callers, early position and middle position. So we're going to the turn 4 ways. The turn comes a 10, completing the rainbow, 10 of spades. What is your decision here? Do you check, do you bet, or do you fold? Think about that. I think most players would probably check. So that's what we decide to do. We decide to check it over to the early position player. Early position checks as well, as does middle position, and the button places another bet, but this time it's to the tune of $40. So here we are with king deuce of spades. We have a pair of kings with no kicker and 4 people in this hand. So what would your decision be here? Would you make the call? Would you raise, or would you fold? And why would you do that? Based on what I see at 1-2 tables everywhere, I think I'd probably go about 65% of them would call here, and maybe 35% of them would find a fold. So we'll just say we call. Hero makes a call for 40. Early position and middle position both get out of the way. They make the fold. We're heads up to the river with the gentleman on the button, and he covers us. And the river comes a deuce. So we improve to kings up, and that's got to feel pretty good, right? So what would you decide to do here? Would you bet since you made two pair? Would you check and hopefully this guy will continue betting? Or would you muck? I don't think anybody's mucking here. So this is kind of like testing your thought process. There's merit to betting because we can get paid maybe by hands like, I don't know, king 8, king 9, king jack. However, if we bet and get raised, it's probably going to be pretty disgusting, and we're going to have a lot of our stack committed. We could check, but if this player was bluffing or if he just doesn't have that strong of a hand, he's probably just going to check back, and we're not going to make any more money. So I think it's pretty common that most 1-2 players would probably place a bet here and probably like a value sizing, maybe like $50 or something. So that's what we do. We place a bet for $50. We have approximately half our stack in the middle. We got about $100 remaining. Guy in the button is tanking a little bit, and he's doing the chip dance. And finally, he announces all in. Action's back on us. Now what is your play? Sit there and think about it for a minute. Armchair quarterback this hand, what would you do? Most 1-2 players, my experience, they are never folding 2 pair unless you turn the hand over and show it that you have him beat. And that does happen occasionally, but unfortunately the button is not showing his hand right now. So what is your decision? Do you call this all-in bet or do you fold? Okay. So now you've had a minute to think about that. Let's just go with the masses here. I think most 1-2 players that are inexperienced make this call. And the button turns over, pocket sevens. He flopped a set, and it would have taken runner perfect for us to win this hand, and we did not. So what is the point of this? You might be asking. That decision to kick in an extra dollar ended up costing us money. And the reason it cost us money is because most of the people that watch my videos are inexperienced players and they're trying to improve. So you shouldn't be putting yourself in situations by kicking in an extra dollar with a terrible hand like king 2 of spades if you don't know how to navigate after the flop. You don't know how to hand read. You don't know when you should fold your hand, things like that. These are things you're going to learn with experience. If you have a lot of experience, this is still going to be a tough hand to play because even if you make a good hand, you're out of position. It's hard to extract value. It's hard to control the size of the pot. You can't do anything, and it's never going to go your way. It just illustrates how difficult it is to play out of position. So, same scenario, back it up. We're in a small blind, $200, king 2 of spades, and 4 limpers. Hero decides to kick in the extra dollar, and the big blind checks. We go off to the flop 6 ways, and the flop comes queen 9-3 with 2 spades. What would your decision be right here at this point in the hand? Would you check, would you bet, or would you fold? I think most of you folding would be out of the question. We have second nut flush draw. I think it's pretty common to probably want to check here and just see what happens. So we make the check, big blind checks. Gentleman under the gun decides to place a bet, and he places a bet for $10. Middle position and cutoff fold, but the button makes the call for 10, and the action is back on us. The only player remaining in the hand that hasn't called or folded yet is the big blind. So what would your decision right here be? Would you call, would you raise, or would you fold? So think about that. This is scenario number 3, if you want to comment. I think most people would probably just check call here and reassess turn. So hero decides to make a call for $10, and the big blind folds, gets out of the way. So 3 ways to the turn. The turn comes a deuce now. So we make pair status. That's pretty cool, right? And we're first stacked again. What would your decision be? Would you check, would you bet, or would you fold? I think some 1-2 players would choose to bet here to try to kind of build the pot.
In case they hit.
They would bet here to try to set their own price so they don't get blown off this hand or whatever. Other players are probably going to check and decide, right? What would your decision be? Let's go the more passive route, the more common route of 1-2 players to be passive. So let's check it over. to early position. Early position places another bet to the tune of $40 this time. The button decides after hesitating to make the fold, and it's only us remaining. What would your decision here be? We made it to pair status. We got the second nut flush draw, and the bet is $40. Given the way this hand is played so far, I think most 1-2 players would make this call here. We do exactly that. So we go to the river, heads up, and the river comes another queen. What do you do now? Check, bet, or fold. We missed all of our draws. We have a pair of twos. What's your decision? I think most of you would check, and early position player bets $75. What's your decision now? We have a pair of deuces with a king kicker, and we missed our draw. I'm pretty sure most of you are going to say fold, and that would probably be the correct decision. I think this illustrates the kind of trouble situations that you can get into by kicking in an extra dollar. An experienced player might be able to navigate the hand better, but it's still going to be very difficult to navigate with king 2 in the worst position possible, which is a small blind. Unless you have a premium hand, do not kick in the extra dollar in your small blind. It just leads to trouble. This is an enormous leak of recreational players, and as soon as you start folding your small blind, you're going to increase your win rate. If you want information about my coaching program, drop me an email at livepokerplayer8@gmail.com. I have a video on the Dunning-Kruger effect that I think is very, very important. And I also have a lighthearted video. It's about bad poker etiquette. And I made it quite some time ago, but I dressed up in costumes and everything. So definitely check out that one as well. So until I see you next time, run good, smash flops, stack all the money on your whole table and whatever, and catch you on the flip side.